I think a lot of us today can come to an agreement that we live in a world that is absolutely cooked. The things that are happening in our modern society nowadays is something that we would only see back in the day on GTA or like South Park. And right now we essentially live in a society that is so ridiculous that it's already beyond parody. And my beloved country of Russia is very much the same in this regard. Since the war between Russia and Ukraine started, we've already seen a lot of insane things happening in Russian society. Just take the Z propaganda in schools, for example, and how kids are forced to draw patriotic pictures that are praising the soldiers of Russia in a special military operation or whatever. Or for example, just recently we've seen videos coming out of Russia where kids in school were essentially forced to wish a happy birthday to Vladimir Putin. And a particular school teacher in Russia actually put a bunch of Russian kids on their knees in order to form the letters of the name Putin. Also in order to congratulate Vladimir Putin with a happy birthday. Things in Russia have gotten so ridiculous that it seems like pretty much at this point, a lot of people in Russia are pretty much ready to do whatever the government tells them to, without even questioning it and thinking if it's even normal. And well guys, what is happening right now is that there are people out there who are essentially doing pranks where they pretend to be somebody from the Russian government and they reach out to Russians and ask them to do something insane and ridiculous, essentially just to prove a point and show how insane Russia has gotten. And apparently it seems like these pranksters are right, because Russians actually fall for these pranks, and a lot of them actually are willing to do things that are absolutely insane, just as long as those things are supposedly patriotic. Hey there people, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian, and in today's video, we are gonna be looking at how pranksters are exposing the true nature of current Russian society and Russian politics. So, you guys might be wondering, what exactly am I talking about? Well, let's check it out.
Изготовление шапочек из фольги – это не только интересное и творческое занятие, но и важный патриотический акт, символизирующий готовность защищать свою родину от внешних угроз. Пусть наша шапочка станет символом единства и стойкости перед лицом внешних вызовов.
Yes, guys. This is precisely what I'm talking about. If you guys didn't understand what is going on here yet, let me explain it to you. But so basically this is a story that went pretty viral recently in Russia, and what happened here is that an activist from Belarus whose name is Vladislav Bohan, this guy essentially decided to do a little prank and pretend to be a member of United Russia, which is Russia's ruling party that has been in power for pretty much the entire time Putin's been in power, right? Essentially this activist pretended to be a member of United Russia, or to be a representative of it, and sent a message to a bunch of schools in Russia. In particular, he pretended to be part of the Voronezh Oblast section of United Russia, right? And essentially what he did is that he reached out to a bunch of schools in the Voronezh Oblast of Russia and formed this fake documents which, you know, pretends to be essentially be issued by the ruling party United Russia. And in this document, the guy essentially offered a bunch of teachers in these schools in the Voronezh Oblast to partake in a sort of a patriotic flash mob, or a kind of a... Actually, here in the document is described as a patriotic masterclass called The Helmets of the Motherland. And basically in this document he said that the teachers of these schools have to perform a sort of patriotic masterclass in order to learn how to create a tinfoil hat, so that the teachers, quote-unquote, demonstrate their readiness to create handicrafted defense items that would help them to defend them from essentially 5G rays that are being output into the air by NATO. This is hard to even say, because like, I'm not even making this up. This is what is happening, right? The document apparently also contained a tutorial on how to exactly create a tinfoil hat at home. He says that he used ChatGPT in order to create this instruction, this tutorial, and supposedly 7 schools in the Voronezh Oblast did this, actually. They did not understand that it's a prank. They literally did it. And also the funniest part is that this activist himself says that one of the participants, one of the schools, one of the teachers, after the deed was done, they actually messaged him back and even asked for a certificate issued by United Russia, saying that our school has actually participated in this patriotic masterclass of creating tinfoil hats. Wow. And there it is, guys. Apart from this video that we just reacted to, here's some pictures also from other schools that also partook in this incredible patriotic events. And you can see here, they took pictures showing that, yes, we are creating tinfoil hats. You know, we're doing what the government told us. Once again, here's another picture of teachers from a school sitting in tinfoil hats. Very... We have a portrait of Vladimir Putin in the background, a bunch of Russian flags, and the national anthem of Russia. Incredible shot, in my opinion, just incredible. Here are some more pictures from other schools again.
Сегодня мы с вами изготовили шлем Отечества. Изготовление шлема – это не только полезное и увлекательное занятие, но еще и необходимость защиты. Такой шлем вас может защитить от внешней угрозы. Пусть шлем, который сделаете вы сами собственными руками, станет средством защиты от внешних врагов нашей прекрасной страны.
Oh, God. So yeah, here's some more pictures, you guys. You see they're having fun making the hats. And one more picture here. So great. Okay. Now here's the thing, right? First of all, I know that there's probably gonna be some people underneath this video that are gonna say, Roman, how dare you? You're essentially a piece of shit for laughing at these school teachers. Obviously, they're teachers, right? And I respect teachers, okay? Yes, I do see how some of you may see this as like an issue, but also, yes, teachers in Russia, they don't make a lot of money, they're severely underpaid, so on and so on. But also, low-key, if you do really think about it, teachers, public school teachers in Russia, they are low-key some of the biggest enablers of Putin's dictatorship, right? Because not only are they directly involved in essentially governmental propaganda into feeding children nonsense, and now in Russia you officially have Z propaganda lessons, you know, teaching about the importance of this special military operation and, you know, why Russia is essentially right to do what they do. Not only do teachers take part in all of that, but also, public school teachers in Russia are directly involved in faking elections. Because in Russia, all the polling stations where you come in to vote are actually located in schools, and the people who are tasked with counting the votes are actually public school teachers, and the same people who throw in thousands and thousands and millions of fake ballots for Vladimir Putin for years and years. They have been doing this for decades now. These are also public school teachers. So yes, I understand this might seem a little rude, but honestly, in Russia, there are honestly few other institutions that are as Z and as bootlicking of the government as public schools. Schools in Russia essentially operate like it's the Soviet Union still. And yes, I understand not every teacher is bad, but I don't care about that right now. Because this is fucking ridiculous. Now what is pretty funny is that the Ministry of Education of the Voronezh Oblast, the region where this happened, actually reacted to this event and has something to say, so let's check it out. This is a direct quote from, on one side of the coin, our educators have once again shown their patriotic stance, their very high executive ability, and also their creative approach to any task. The helmets made out of tinfoil look very, very convincing. On the other side, we are of course quite disappointed that our teachers have not been able to tell a true party initiative apart from a strange, you know, bad joke. We think that this might be connected to a particular extra attention to security of our citizens in the region. Even in this joke, our wary educators decided to find a bit of truth. So yes, I think like commentary is pretty much needless here almost. You guys understand what is happening here. Like I said, a lot of the stuff we've been seeing coming out from Russian schools, how they essentially line up kids in the form of Putin's name, and they're putting kids on their knees in order to congratulate Vladimir Putin with a happy birthday, and they're forcing kids to wish Vladimir Putin a happy birthday, and so on and so on and so on. There's so many of these insane things that they're kind of even hard to remember at this point, right? And this has always been the case. All of this just shows us that Russian public school teachers and, you know, the Russian education system, it will pretty much always do anything to kind of suck up to the government and to do whatever it wants, basically to receive funding money from the governments. Basically, if you're a school in Russia and you want to receive any good funding from the government, you gotta show your loyalty to the Z regime, right? And at this point, people are ready to do anything. So, even when they're approached with the idea of creating tinfoil hats and putting them on their heads, and, you know, talking about how this stuff is important to fight NATO, you know, sending radio waves and 5G to, you know, mess with our Russian heads or whatever, they don't even have a problem with that. They have zero thoughts and zero idea that this might be, like, not real. They're so, like... Like, it is absolutely incredible. And once again, it does show the insanity of Russian current society, because the serious governmental initiatives that teachers have to perform in school, they're like kind of almost barely different from doing this. Making a tinfoil hat and putting it on your heads. in order to show your patriotism. You know what I'm saying? And actually what I do find funny is that this exact same activist who did this prank, he already did a pretty similar prank like 2 years ago, also in Russian schools. So this right here was actually in June of 2022, and essentially this guy asked Russian school teachers, again, pretending to be a member of United Russia, he essentially asked Russian teachers to do a cleanup day in the schools and also take a picture while doing it with a bunch of students also in front of certain slogans, which happened to be stolen actually from a particular country from, the 1930s in Europe and translated to the Russian language. So let's check it out. So here's one school that sent the picture in, a bunch of students and teachers here, and they have a Russian flag here with a slogan that says, "One people, one nation, one leader." Which, I don't know if you guys are history buffs or not, but that is a literal motto or, slogan from Nazi Germany. And once again, you would expect maybe, educators and people who are in charge of educating the Russian youth to know better than to pose in front of Nazi slogans. But once again, when these slogans are translated to Russian, they just sound very patriotic and they just sound like you support Vladimir Putin. I wonder why there's that coincidence there, by the way. I wonder why, but yeah. Nevertheless, these people still posed for a photo and the prank was also successful, so that is absolutely incredible, but it might actually pale in comparison to the next story that I want to tell you guys, which actually also went kind of viral. So here's actually what I'm talking about. So what happened is that an anonymous group of anti-Putin Russians who left the country, led by Russian anti-Putin journalist Andrei Zakharov, essentially this group has been conducting a little bit of trolling for about 2 years where they literally created a fake AI Z poet. Essentially, they created a person who writes poems about like Russia and Z and the special military operation and the glory of Russia and how it's doing everything right and so on. This fake poet that they created got endorsed and reposted by a bunch of like very famous Russian propaganda pundits and even members of the Russian governments. Not only that, but this fake Z poet that they created also won a couple of awards in Russia, like literary awards for his poems. And here's guys where I deliver the punchline. Every single poem that was ever posted by this fake poet, every single patriotic Russian poem about, the greatness of Russia and its leader, these were all poems created by poets in the Third Reich in Germany in the 1930s and 1940s, simply translated to Russian. And nobody noticed anything. Nobody literally noticed anything until they themselves exposed that this entire time they've been running a con and actually translating poems by Nazi German poets, praising Hitler and Nazi Germany. Makes you think, guys. Makes you think. So this right here was essentially the public page of this poet. They named him Gennady Rakitin. Essentially what happened is that a bunch of Russian like patriotic Z pages started reposting this guy's poems. For example, this like some kind of VK group here called Special Military Operation Vladimir Putin quotes Russia. So for example, they posted this right here. A poem called Leader by Gennady Rakitin, which actually is a poem by Eberhard Wolfgang Möller, a Nazi poet of the time, and the original name of the poem is Führer. So, cool. Or for example, this right here, Nikita Mikhalkov posted another one of these poems by Gennady Rakitin. Nikita Mikhalkov, if you guys are not aware, he is a very famous Russian director, a very influential person in Russia, kind of like a socialite, also very closely connected to the government and so on. And over the years, he's also basically become a Z propaganda pundit, just like, Solovyov or something. So Nikita Mikhalkov posted this poem right here is called In Front of the Portrait. It's a poem about essentially a person looking at the portrait of the Führer, and like the last line here is, as I'm looking at your beautiful portrait, I'm understanding the point of it all, which is to be a son of Russia. So great stuff, and this turned out to be also a poem created by Herbert Menzel, who was also a Nazi poet of the time, and the original last line in that original poem is to be a son of Germany, of course. In fact, they even made like a table where they showed how exactly they translated all the Nazi German poems into Russian, just changing certain words so that, they fit the current narrative. Now this right here is essentially the picture that was used by this AI poet that they created, essentially as a satire on current modern Russian, ideology and culture. Once again, guys, just shows how cooked we are that, boomers essentially and Z people can't even tell that this is like not a real person, that we're clearly looking at an AI picture. We live in an absolutely cooked time, you guys, once again. In fact, members of the Russian governments and parliaments have actually friended this guy on VK, the Russian social network, and so on, and you know, a lot of them reposted his stuff, reposted his work. And this right here, by the way, once again, is my favorite part about all of this. In June of 2024, one of Rakitin's poems won a prize at an all-Russian patriotic poetry competition held by the Union of Writers of Russia, Kaluga branch, reaching the semi-finals in the Poems About War and Defenders of the Motherland category. One of the poems also won the Tvardovsky Patriotic Poetry Competition. Yes, that's also a thing in Russia, by the way. That's like a whole genre now in Russia of Z poetry, where people write Z poetry and this like published in huge compilations and so on, and you know, they're running some sort of competitions. It's a competition of these poems, and once again, these fake poems that were literally poems translated from German from Nazi German to Russian, they won a bunch of these competitions, which is also very curious. Once again, normal country, guys. And essentially, yes, this entire story ended with this post right here where they basically exposed that they've been actually making fun of Z stuff this entire time, and the people who were running this project literally got tired because they were like, okay, so I guess they're just never noticing. They would just never notice that we're literally translating Nazi German poems, so let's just stop this now and expose this ridiculousness. And once again, guys, it is absolutely incredible. You know, we like to say that this world is absolutely cooked and, you know, nobody is just serious anymore. And the things that are happening in politics of most countries are just beyond parody. Well, this right here, I think, is the perfect example why what is happening in Russia currently with its ideology and propaganda is also absolutely beyond parody. Because when educators fall so easily into the trap of essentially prank callers forcing them to do anything just because they think that if they do that, they will get basically some loyalty points from the government. And also when we have a situation where people are, you know, praising and reposting literal translated Nazi German poems and not noticing anything, once again, it only shows that we live in clown world, we live in hell, and Russia at this point as a country is absolutely beyond parody. So yes guys, I guess that is just gonna be pretty much it for today's video though. I just wanted to once again update you guys on the absolutely normal country of Russia that is having a normal one. That has a totally normal ideology, you know what I mean? Normal country, once again, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight. If you guys did enjoy this video though, if you guys did find it funny, then please make sure to slap the like button on it. And also, if you guys would like to support me additionally, and that is financially, then please go over to the link down description and become a YouTube member. It's basically the best way to support me. It's like YouTube's own version of Patreon, a monthly donation type of thing. Or you could also do a super thanks underneath this video for a one-time donation. But yes guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Keep on rocking in the free world and do. Bye.